In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, all praise be to God, the Lord of all worlds. All right, let's read some notes from the 17th flash. We'll try to benefit from some internal reflection, God willing. So the 17th flash consists of 15 notes taken from the Zure. Let's look at the first note. I addressed this to my own soul. I said, hey, heedless soul. By the way, it's worth mentioning this. Once, in a gathering where our master, said Nursi, was present, a student was reading this and read it as, hey, heedless Said. Our master immediately stopped him. He said, cut it out. I can say that to myself, but you cannot say that to me. So when we read this, how should we read it? We should say my soul, right? Or we should insert our own name, like, hey, heedless Hakan. So I said to myself, hey, heedless soul or Hakan, know this. It is not worthy of you to tie your heart to things that won't accompany you after this world fades, things that will leave you when the world falls apart. Think about it. We live in this world, but we're going to leave. We'll go to the intermediate realm, then to eternity. This world yet is going to collapse right here. The wreckage stays here. None of this stuff is coming with us. So why tie your heart to it? Especially things that turn their backs on you as time passes. Some things might last until Judgment Day, but even they will be destroyed then. Other things only last 100 years. Or look at your own life. Some things leave you while you're still alive. Your youth, your health, they don't even walk you to the grave's door. They leave you halfway. Some things don't even last a year or two. They leave you with the sin on your neck and vanish. Connecting your heart to transient things isn't the work of a rational mind. If you have any sense, drop the jobs that can't be your friends on the eternal journey. Don't grieve when they disappear. Look at your own nature. Among your emotions and subtle senses, there is one that simply cannot be satisfied with anything less than eternity and the eternal one. It doesn't stoop to anything else. You could give that sense the whole world and it wouldn't be satisfied. That sense is the sultan of your feelings. So obey that sultan, obey God's command, and save yourself. Let's look at the third note. Hey, heedless soul, you see this temporary world as permanent because of a trick of the senses. A guy looks at a mountain, sees it standing firm. He looks at the sun, sees it shining like a ram. He thinks, the world is solid, nothing is happening to it, so I must be solid too. I'll keep going just like them. Because you see the surroundings as stable, you assume your fragile self is stable too. You only worry about the actual apocalypse. I used to wonder about this. Students would come and ask, when is Judgment Day coming? With such curiosity. I'd think, this guy isn't afraid of his own death, but he's worried about the world ending. It means he thinks he's going to live until the apocalypse. Come to your senses. You and your private world are under the threat of destruction every single moment. This illusion is like this. Imagine a man holding a mirror. He holds it up to a house, a city, or a garden. What happens? A reflection of the house, city, and garden appears in the mirror. If that mirror moves just a little or shakes, the image gets distorted. If a small stone hits the mirror and breaks it, the image is gone. Now the actual house outside is still standing, but the house in your mirror is ruined. Your life is that mirror. Your personal world's pillar, its center, is your own life. Everyone lives in their own private city. If your heart stops, if a blood clot hits, poof, your world is gone. The outside world continues, sure, but your world has collapsed. It's instantaneous. Like when a kid chokes on something, you have 2 minutes to do the Heimlich maneuver, or the airway is blocked and that child's world closes forever. It's that fragile. So don't load burdens onto this life that it can't carry. Now the 13th note. This is about 5 points where people often get confused. First point, people working in the path of truth often make a mistake. They think about God's duties instead of their own. For example, we want someone to find the right path, to start praying. But is that up to us? That person has to want it, and God has to grant it. We can't interfere with who God guides. You do your job and leave the rest to God. There's a story in one of the books. Satan once challenged Jesus, peace be upon him. He said, "If death and everything is by God's destiny, throw yourself off this cliff and let's see how you die." He was trying to get Jesus to test God. Jesus replied, "God tests his servant. The servant does not test God." We can't say, God, if I do this, will you do that? That's bad manners. There's a famous story about Jalaluddin Harzam Shah, a great Islamic hero who defeated Genghis Khan's army many times. Before a battle, his viziers told him, "You will be victorious. God will make you win." He replied, "I am commanded by God to fight on this path. I am not responsible for victory. Giving victory or defeat is God's business. I don't interfere in his work." Isn't that beautiful? Because he understood this secret of submission, he actually won many times. If he had focused only on winning, he might have fallen into despair when things got tough. But if you focus on your duty, whether that's reading a book, serving, helping, you can keep going forever. If people listen, great. If they don't, that's fine too. Your reward is for doing the duty, not the result. Even the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, our absolute guide, followed the rule. The messenger's duty is only to convey the message. When people didn't listen, he didn't give up. He tried harder with more seriousness and compassion. He knew that guiding hearts is God's job. Second point, worship looks to God's command and God's pleasure. Why do you fast? Because God commanded it. What result do you expect? God's pleasure. That's it. You don't pray to get your business affairs in order or to fix your health. Now you can ask for paradise. That's asking for an eternal benefit. So that's okay. But you can't make worldly benefits the reason for your worship. If you fast just to lose weight or pray just to do yoga, it's gone. You just stayed hungry for nothing. Now, if God gives you worldly benefits without you asking, like your health improves because you fast, that's a bonus. It doesn't hurt your sincerity because you didn't ask for it. But if you say, I'll read this specific prayer so I can get rich, or I'll read this to cure my headache, and you make that the primary goal, well, the prayer might not work, and you lose the spiritual reward too. People buy these prayer books, right? It says, read this for illness. They read it and they don't get better, and then they start doubting the prayer. But the problem isn't the prayer, it's the intention and the expectation. that you ask God for healing, but you can't demand it as a guaranteed result. Third point, happy is the man who knows his limits and does not cross them. Think of the sun. It reflects in a tiny drop of water, in a piece of glass, in the ocean, and on the moon. The drop of water can say, I have the sun in me, but it can't say, I am the ocean. In the same way, saints and holy people reflect God's names according to their capacity. You can't compare your tiny drop to their ocean. The essence of worship is knowing your weakness, your poverty, and your flaws. Instead of acting proud, like, oh, I read 10 pages today, look at me, you should look at what you didn't do. I could have read 20. I was distracted. When you focus on your flaws, the door to spiritual progress opens. Don't be like those who think they are great because they did a little something. It says in a hadith, all people are doomed except those with knowledge. All those with knowledge are doomed except those who act on it. All those who act are doomed except the sincere ones, and even the sincere ones are in great danger. Sincerity, ikhlas, is the only rescue. A tiny amount of sincere action is worth tons of insincere action. And look, even love needs sincerity. One scholar said, I don't want a bribe for my love. If you love someone just to get a reward back, that love is weak. Look at mothers. A mother loves her child with pure sincerity. She sacrifices her sleep, her comfort, even her life for her child without asking for a penny in return. A hen will attack a dog to save her chick, sacrificing her own life. That's sincere love. Let's skip to the second symbol of the 14th note. There are some foolish people who, because they don't recognize the sun in the sky, fall in love with the mirror that reflects the sun. They try so hard to protect the mirror so the sun inside it doesn't get lost. If they understood that the sun doesn't die when the mirror breaks, they would turn their love to the sun in the sky. Hey man, your heart, your identity, it's a mirror. That intense desire for immortality you feel, it's not for you. It's not for the mirror. It's for the eternal one reflected in you. But because you're confused, you direct that love to yourself or the world. Since God exists and is eternal, it doesn't matter if we perish or the mirror breaks. He can recreate us. Third symbol. This is very strange. Listen to this. God created you in such a way that sometimes the whole world isn't enough for you. You feel suffocated like a man in a dungeon saying, off, off. You want something wider than the world, but at the same time, you can get obsessed with a tiny, microscopic thing, a single memory, a single minute, and you get stuck there. Your heart, which the world can't feel, decides to settle in a speck of dust. You have spiritual senses that could swallow the world and still be hungry. But then you have another sense that can't even carry a hair's weight. It gets overwhelmed by a tiny worry. So be careful where you step. Don't drown in a spoonful of water. Don't let a bite of food, a single word, or a momentary kiss drown your huge potential. A small piece of glass can reflect the entire sky and stars, but if you throw that glass into a muddy puddle, it's lost. You have a memory that can hold your whole life's library, but you can choke it with unnecessary trash. You can spend your life reading truths, illuminating your spirit, or you can spend it obsessing over simple worldly nonsense. Both are possible. Watch your step. Fourth symbol. Hey, world worshipping human, the world you think is so vast is actually a narrow grave. You are in a narrow grave, but you see it as a huge square. How? The walls are mirrors. The wall on the right is the past. The wall on the left is the future. They reflect each other, so it looks like an endless corridor. But the past is gone. It doesn't exist. The future hasn't happened. It doesn't is it doesn't exist. They are non-existent. But because they reflect in the mirror of your imagination, the present moment, which is very short, seems huge. If you move wrong, you hit your head on the wall. The illusion shatters. You realize your huge world is narrower than a grave, faster than a bridge. Your time passes faster than lightning. Life flows faster than a river. Everyone says this, right? I came here 7 years ago. It feels like yesterday. You think we say, will 10 years ever pass? And suddenly you're old. It flows so fast. If you see valuable things floating on a fast river, you have to grab them quickly or they're gone forever. Since the physical life is this fast and fleeting, leave the animal life behind. Leave the physical obsession. Enter the level of life of the heart and spirit. When people talk, what do they talk about? I ate this, I went there, I bought this. It's all physical. But if you engage with meaning, with spirituality, time expands. If you occupy your mind with truth, 5 minutes of reflection can feel like hours of richness. But if you deal with empty things, hours pass and you feel like you did nothing. You will find a world of light much wider than this imaginary wide world. And the key to that world, is to make the heart speak and the spirit work with the sacred phrase, La ilaha illallah, there is no God but God. One of the master's students, Abdullah, once asked him as a high schooler, what does La ilaha illallah mean? The master held up the RİSALE-İ book and said, brother, the meaning is in this book. It means understanding the truths of faith makes the heart speak. God gave us this path, so we should strive to read and understand it more. May God grant us success in this. Glory be to you. We have no knowledge except what you have taught us.